Thank you. Yeah. I firstly want to say that it's been a wonderful opportunity by the Hangzhou Municipal Government and also UNESCO coordinating this wonderful opportunity for us all to be together and to actually discuss together and have a dialogue, and maybe not necessarily finding exact solutions, but what we all work in our own countries and across countries and cross-culturally, trying to find answers and coming up with challenges, and being able to share that is a really valuable opportunity. So I would like to thank the UNESCO and the Hangzhou government for that opportunity. We were really fortunate to have an elaboration of the transformative projects of the Aga Khan Trust in our session. And it not only, I think the important message was it's not only protecting and restoring the heritage sites, but it's also engagement in improving and transforming the lives of the neighbourhoods within which those sites rest. There's a little bit of duality in what we're talking about in terms of culture. And in our session we were talking about partnerships, public-private partnerships that were enhancing cultural activity and cultural heritage. But most importantly, we were talking about cultural approaches to creating sustainable development. Because development without culture is without context, is without meaning. And without purpose, there's no sustainability. So it's the duality of those two things that we're talking about. So public-private partnership concept is the synergy and linkage between public agencies, private corporations, communities and even NGOs. It's not only a partnership of funds and money, but it's a partnership of expertise, of knowledge, in project management, entrepreneurship, arts and skills, a whole range of knowledge. One of the key messages that came out was that public-private partnerships are not a replacement for public money. It's not about replacing private money for public money. We're trying to encourage diversity, we're trying to engage in more cultural expressions, we're trying to take more cultural approaches to sustainable development, we're trying to get the pool larger, we're trying to harness and increase that capacity. So it's not about taking from one from the other, it's about supplementing and building together public and private. It's also not about a transfer of public assets to private assets. And not only, as well as some of the successes in our session that were discussed, also with some cautionary tales about public-private partnerships where perhaps transfer of assets have not been so successful. So it was about, one of the key messages that came out is about finding that balance between the cultural and the economic outcomes. That's not a set formula. It's not a set instrumental standard. It's situational based. It's context based and meaning. But trying to find that balance is really important. And again, it's not one without the other. I think we've evolved and transformed, but we've realised that both are needed. That's the reality of the world that we live in. But how do you find that balance? Another key point that was mentioned was the transparency of purpose. The purpose was really something that came up in our session a lot. And having a transparency of that purpose, I think there's that quite often there's a caution of the public sector for the private sector to engage, because the private sector is always perceived as having a for-profit motive. And so how does the private and public sector combine to have a shared purpose and a shared goal? There needs to be transparency. There needs to be transparency of the role of the project and also the transparency of the objectives of each of those parties that are forming that partnership. And there needs to be an enabling environment. There's not a lot of precedence in the sector of public-private partnerships. So there needs to be an enabling environment on the public side as well, in terms of having legislative and administrative enablers to enable public-private partnerships. And community involvement, essential. It's essential for focusing on what the purpose of the project is. It's about humanity, it's about the meaning, and it's also about success. And interesting, and I think interesting in this situation that we are in China, with the rapid development that we see and the change in China, it was really, contributors were really concerned that we actually take time out. It takes time out and time to consult and engage with people, to have different perspectives and to find that purpose. So sometimes fast, rapid is not the way. You actually do need to take time out to engage and discuss and reflect. And I think that's really important. It's not just about speed. An economic framework is also an enabler. You know, the private sector has efficiencies. It has efficiencies that can be brought to the public sector, that can be brought to the cultural sector, that can be brought to NGOs. And the entrepreneurial approach. Taking an entrepreneurial approach, deriving revenues to support social outcomes, to support the development of public projects, it is a necessity. It doesn't necessarily take away from a social purpose or a cultural purpose, but it contributes to sustaining activities and sustaining partnerships, which is important. And I think, in summing up, I think one of the important things is that public-private partnerships enable a combination to combine talents to achieve cultural partnerships of the highest quality. And we were able to see some of those partnerships that brought out the highest quality of partnerships and the combination of talent.